Hi, I'm Bob Sambol from Bob's Steak and Chop House, and today's rare conversation is with Hunter Pond, the CEO and founder of Vandelay Hospitality. This interview is a little different since I've known Hunter since he was a young man. He went to school with my kids. His dad coached my son in Pee Wee sports, so we go way back. And never did I think when he was running around my backyard that he'd be one of my competitors. And he's pretty damn good at it. And when we thought about doing this interview, when his name came up, I immediately said we got to do it because, you know, I'm an old timer, been in this business a long time. And there's the old workhorse like me who just plods along and gets the same thing done. And then there's what's started to happen in our business, and I think it probably happens in all the eras, is young men come up with great new ideas and innovations and kind of change things for us. So, Hunter, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
And the first question is, I don't think at sixth grade career day, you stood up and said, "Hi, I'm Hunter Pond, I want to be a restaurateur." So
No.
When does this all start for you?
The genesis will probably be during the misery of law school. I've talked about this in interviews before, but I was always into cooking, loved food. You know, you mentioned my dad earlier, Bill the Thrill Pond, yeah, legend of the car business locally. But you know, when he was first working, he was a traveling salesman. He had to take clients out to eat all the time. So by the time he was raising a young family, he wanted my mom to cook. And he was tired of going out to restaurants. It's ironic because they actually met at TGI Fridays. But, so growing up, we didn't go out to eat a lot. Like barely ever. I think birthdays were pretty much the only time we'd go out to eat. And so I believe that because going out to eat was such a romanticized event in my childhood, that it always stuck out to me as something that just was exciting. I think that's, you know, the origination of my intrigue into the business. And then in college, my roommate, a guy named Kyle Brooks, his dad was chairman and CEO of Brinker, Doug
Oh,
Brooks.
yeah, sure.
And so I had a very unique perspective into big business hospitality.
Wow.
Which was really cool. And so immediately after college, went to law school. And again, in that misery, I think everything just manifested and clicked, where it was a realization that I knew what was going to make me happy. I thought I knew what I could be really good at, besides being some, you know, asshole lawyer. And
Now you're an asshole restaurateur.
I'm an asshole restaurateur.
Yeah.
And so I just jumped in the deep end and dropped out of law school, started washing dishes at Eno's, and
Wow.
came up with the concept for East Hampton.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we start, let's just name your concepts: Hudson House, Drake's Hollywood, Anchor Sushi Bar, DL Max, Brentwood, Teon, Jack and Harry's, Bar Sardine, El Molino, Slider and Blues. And the interesting part about your list of concepts is you have new concepts, and then very interesting part of this is you have old concepts which you bought to make better. So, got a million questions for you, but let's go back to the first one, is what inspired you to do East Hampton? Because that was your first one, right?
That was the first one. The void in the marketplace between going to R&D Kitchen and having one of their big, beautiful sandwiches that was, you know, $23 when I'd be lucky enough for my mom to take me to lunch. And then going to Jersey Mike's, Potbellies, you know, spending $8 on a sandwich at the time. It's probably 14 now. But there was nothing really bridging that gap. So I just thought that that's something I would want. Not of the exact same quality that R&D was putting out, but something close to it, in a similar setting as Jersey Mike's, order at the counter. That was the original idea, you know, 12 years ago now. So it's not such a novel concept anymore with Mendocino Farms and a lot of other I call it fine casual concepts have caught up. And But that was the original idea, and I knew that I had to start with fast casual because I didn't have any money. Similar to the Steve L's Chipotle story, right? He wanted to be in fine dining, but he didn't have the money to do it. So his idea was start Chipotle to fund his fine dining restaurant. That wasn't quite the same. We both just didn't have any money. So I was like, all right, I'll do fast casual. And so that was what I thought was the largest void in the marketplace.
You do East Hampton. Were you immediately successful? Did it take a while? What happened?
It exploded day one.
Wow.
It was timing is obviously very important in business, especially in hospitality. And we were coming right out of the recession. It was 2012. Obviously, the story was intriguing. 24-year-old kid opening a upscale sandwich shop in his hometown. Snyder Plaza location was obviously interesting. And so it was like a perfect storm of narrative, uniqueness, and obviously quality. So I think because of those three factors, along with the timing, it just exploded. I mean, there was a line wrapped around the door. I candidly had no idea what I was doing. My original business partner and I were in dress pants and dress shoes, delivering porcelain plates with sandwiches and chips.
Yeah.
Just run around like chickens with their head cut off. Had no clue what we were doing, but we learned quick. Yeah. But no, day one, line wrapped around the block.
Wow. Yeah. And your second concept after that was?
Hudson House.
Hudson House. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the inspiration behind Hudson House? And how many Hudson Houses are there now?
We have 8 Hudson Houses now. We have 2 more opening in the next 6 weeks.
Wow.
And yeah, that train is off and running. We've got a lot more in the pipeline as well. Opened that 5 years into my career after East Hampton. It really started out as a pet project. I love New York, probably my favorite American city, and go up there and I'd visit all the neighborhood restaurants in the West Village. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, it's really a shame that there's nothing of this, not just quality, but character that's in the Park Cities yet. I mean, there's a lot of great restaurants in the Park Cities, but I'm talking about neighborhood restaurants that had a burger and oysters. It wasn't just so monochromatic with a theme. And so that's what I wanted to exist where I was living. And so I said, I'll take a little break from East Hampton and try and create this. My partner, Matt McLean, put together this piece of real estate on Lovers, and everyone said it wouldn't work because there's no parking on Lovers Lane. But for some reason, I just envisioned it bringing to life that shopping strip in the Park Cities where people could walk to it, park before high school football games, etc. And luckily I was right. And again, that one exploded day one. I think it was there's a giant void in the marketplace, and now there's a neighborhood grill opening on every corner.
Sure.
It's the hot theme for restaurateurs these days. But yeah, that was kind of the origination of Hudson House. And it's funny now looking back, we've sold East Hampton, and the Hudson House brand is, we love all the brands, but that is the one that is, we're scaling the fastest now. And it's just odd because I definitely did not open it thinking that that was going to turn out to be one of our racehorses.
Yeah.
The plan was to scale East Hampton and have a cute little neighborhood restaurant as a little pet project.
Mm-hmm. So we're sitting in Drake's, which I love. When I walk in here, I just wish my father was still alive so he could walk in here, because he grew up in New York, had bars and restaurants in New York and New Jersey, and he'd light up a cigarette, go to the bar, and just want to look around.
I'd let him.
Yeah, and you
I'd
right,
let him.
and he'd love that about you. So I love the feel of this place. I feel like I'm back in my father's restaurant when I was a little kid, and the only thing missing is at 11 o'clock the bar would be full and people would be smoking. Yeah. But this kind of changed things a little bit here in Dallas when you opened this. I remember coming here for the first time. It
was explosive.
Yeah, it was. It was explosive, and it was and it was explosive for all the right reasons. Okay, it wasn't explosive for any wrong reasons.
We don't have to get into that.
No, I think it scared. I think it scared old timers like me, who had, older concepts. Oh man, what's this kid doing?
I would say timeless concepts.
Timeless concepts. Okay. And it kind of scared us a little bit, and rightly so. You deserve to scare us a little bit, and made me go and, my team always knows when I went out to dinner the night before, because I come in like a maniac the next day. If I went to a bad restaurant, I want to make sure we're not bad, and if I go to a good restaurant, I want to know why we're not doing what they're doing.
Sure.
And I get very impatient. So that question leads me to this: you did East Hampton, Hudson House. You're going to do Drake's. When did you realize, oh boy, this is a big time deal. I need to get a really good team behind me. And I know you kind of
on the Vandelay side or the Drake side.
Every side.
Okay.
Listen, I'm 100,
so at the top level.
Top level, bottom level, middle level, whatever you want to call it. And I know you struggled with that in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So what point did you say, oh my God, I got to get some good people with me? Because that's what we all strive to get.
It was really about the amount of locations that we had, and the East Hampton business. The fast casual and full service business are so totally different that I think it was once we had 4 or 5 full service restaurants. I would say Hudson House Lovers, Hudson House Addison, Hudson House Lakewood, and Drake's. So those 4 full service restaurants, and then the East Hampton business on the side. This kind of comes full circle in my answer because it was the opening of Drake's. Mm-hmm. And the amount of pressure that came from that, being under the spotlight, because it was really hard to deal with going from the cute neighborhood kid doing stuff for the community to, oh shit, this guy's really trying to make a big mark in hospitality. And for better or worse, I was super immature and young and trying to keep this ship afloat. Sure. While also, blowing off steam and trying to protect the business as well. And I didn't do such a great job at that I think it was the pressure of feeling like the whole thing was gonna sink that I started putting all my efforts into hiring super talented people. At my own cost. I straight up didn't make a lot of money for a good while because I was allocating all those funds to over hiring people at the top level. And because I didn't have any experience operating restaurants before getting into this business, I had to do that. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have all sunk. Yeah. And that's what led to a lot of problems early in my careers. I didn't know what I think I had good ideas, but because I didn't know what I was doing and I got taken advantage of a lot, mm-hmm. that I just became so defensive, so angry, that it almost sank the ship. But luckily, I hired the right people, and that was really what shifted Vandelay from being I did a podcast the other day, and I talked about the difference between 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to mm-hmm. 20.
Yeah.
You can do it 1 to 5, but that 5 to 10, if you don't have the right people around you, if you don't properly invest in the right infrastructure to support that growth from 5 to 10, I don't care if you worked in a restaurant your whole life, or obviously someone like me who hasn't, it's probably not going to end up well. Yeah.
Well, you go, so I grew up in the business. My dad took me to work with him when I was 11 years old. This is what I want to do. Work for my dad. Learned the lesson about a family-owned business. When you don't make money, you don't get paid. Because mm-hmm. there were some weeks we were slow. My dad said, I can't pay you today. I'll pay you Tuesday instead of Friday. That's a pretty good lesson. Okay, you get.
I was there early in the sandwich shop days.
You get the hint. And then my dad retires, and I go and work for a big company. And publicly held company, had 78 restaurants across the country. Started out as a manager trainee, was scheduled from 11 in the morning till 9 at night, 7 days a week. And I asked the manager when I get a day off. He said, when you deserve one. Can you imagine telling somebody that now? Well, you probably have told somebody that.
Come on.
But 2.5 years later, I was vice president of the company, running 14 restaurants in 11 states.
Yeah.
So I evolved, you jumped in. I mean, my progress was over 20 years. You jumped in, and I admired that, and you came out smelling like a rose, and everything's good.
A lot of bumps along the way.
A lot of bumps, but
bumps.
everybody has bumps. I don't care whether you're Steve Jobs or you're Hunter Pond or you're Bob Sambol. We all have bumps, and we all make mistakes, and we all look back and say, "Oh, well, I should have done this, I should have done that." But everybody does.
What doesn't kill you.
Doesn't, right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But we're still doing what we love, and
It's the best job in the world.
it is.
If you can succeed in this, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like there's a TV show on cable called The Bear about the
Oh, yeah, I've
restaurant
seen it.
business.
It's great.
And see, I don't think it's great. You know why?
Why? Season 3 kind of sucks.
He never has a good day. He never has a day where he goes, man, we made a lot of people happy today. We kicked ass today. It's always a bad day. And that's not what
It's
our
not
business.
a documentary.
Yeah,
but
it's
okay.
not what our restaurant, our business is about. There's so many days I come home and I say, wow, it was a great night tonight. We had great people in. It felt so good in there. I had a great friend who had a restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, and at those days it was, you got a travel holiday award when you were great. It was a magazine. And he would say to me sometimes, yeah, we weren't an award-winning restaurant tonight. And I come home some nights and I think about that and I go, you know, we weren't an award-winning restaurant tonight, but we'll be better tomorrow. So you've learned that. You've learned that it's hard to consistently deliver. But
That's the hardest piece of our business is
Right.
consistency.
so you finding it hard to find people who share your vision, or you say once they get around you, they kind of catch it?
Oh, God. I hate the word culture. I hate it. But if there was a different word, I would use it.
Yeah.
And it takes so time to build the culture. But once you have it, and it's a strong representation of your core values and how you view the industry, the rest falls into place. Now, it's hard building that culture. It's not just scientific. I talk about it all the time. The blend of art and science. You know, that's the artistic part of our business. If you're going to scale, you got to have the EQ to understand if people are going to be a good representation of you, a good extension of you in your absence, right? I mean, otherwise, it's already such a hyper emotional and tangible business that there's going to be all the infighting and all the disagreements are just going to slow you down and ultimately crater a company. So you hiring and identifying the people who agree with you at least 90% on the perspective of the industry, in my opinion, that is the hardest part, but also once you figure out the differentiator between good and great.
Well, like I like to say is I created a culture in my restaurant where good employees want to work for me, bad employees don't. Because we come in on time,
Well said.
we wear the right uniform, we do a good job every day, and bad employees go, I don't want to work for that guy. I was 5 minutes late and he sent me home. Or my shirt was a little wrinkled. Well, it shouldn't be a little wrinkled. You got a good job. But, you know, you feel, we both walk in other restaurants and you feel it.
It's palpable.
You feel, and so you know the customers feel it. Now, not every customer feels it. Right. You know, 70% of the customers feel it. Maybe 30% really don't care.
I think they all feel it. They just don't recognize it.
They don't recognize it. Right. But I felt it the minute I walked in here today, because is it Karis?
Yeah.
I walked in and she immediately stood up. She came over and greeted us. And now we made her get up early this morning, which I'm sure she didn't want to do.
She'll be rewarded.
She should be rewarded.
She will be.
Okay. But you can feel this. She has a sense of hospitality. She has it in her heart how to act. And even though this isn't the ideal situation at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, she exemplifies what you want. So it's obvious why she's the general manager of this restaurant.
She's a great example of an extension of the
Yes.
culture that we've built.
100%. So do you think, now when you were younger and you first got into business, and how many years now you've been doing this?
12.
Okay.
Well, September will make 13. So almost 13.
Okay. So it's not that long period, but it's long enough for me to ask you this question. What's changed in the business in those 13 years? Or for you in the business? I know you have a different goal.
Well, I'll tell you this. So back to the timeline of when we got started and started creating all these different concepts, Dallas had been pretty dormant.
Yeah.
Comparative to the rest of the major metropolitan areas, and with new concepts. And with, I mean, there's always been great local operators here. There just wasn't, and I could go on and on about this topic. Dallas is an interesting market for hospitality because there's never been a respect for the hospitality investment side. It's always been so hard for new people to raise capital and find funding for new concepts locally because it's such a real estate, oil and gas, a classic industrial city. And I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just the culture here. And as we were coming out of COVID, the whole world changed, obviously, but I think locally there was at least in my lifetime, a rebirth of intrigue for people to put capital into hospitality. And I think it's a byproduct of everyone being miserable during COVID and coming out and saying, we've got one life to live. And, oh, this guy wants to bring a bit of art that we can enjoy. And so I think funding for new ventures became a lot easier to get. And so I think watching the evolution of that goes hand in hand with just how many restaurants are opening locally now. Mm-hmm. There's a never-ending thirst for new things, and there's a new restaurant opening every single week now. Ultimately, it's going to be a battle of the seats. You know, Ray always talks about this.
Right.
He's like, there's a finite amount of people in certain markets, and all of these seats keep it opening. You know, there's going to be people who win and people who lose.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've reached that point yet. I think there's certain neighborhoods that are a little oversaturated, but as a city, I don't think we've reached that point. Long-winded answer. What's changed the most is just the amount of openings that's happening, and it's literally every week. And so when we first started, we would chart a normal life cycle of a restaurant. In our opinion, honeymoon would be 6 to 8 months. Post-honeymoon, another 6 to 8 months. And then you gradually, hopefully, get back up to honeymoon numbers by year 2. That was how we always viewed it. Now I think it takes 3 to 4 years for a new concept to fully mature. And I'm not talking financially. I'm just talking about top line revenue, because there's just too many new things opening. It's a math equation. You have so many people who live in the market, and if there's this many restaurants opening, then people are going to at least go try the new restaurants before they replace one of their core 10 restaurants with one of the new ones opening. That's how I always view it. I think people have a core 10 restaurants in their cycle, and then they reserve the rest for trying new things. And if one of the new restaurants is so good, after 1, 2, 3 experiences, they are willing to replace one of their 10 core restaurants in the cycle. And that's how you really get a timeless restaurant.
Well, I mean, my goal is to be in people's rotation.
Yeah.
So when you want
be in that circle of 10, right?
Circle of 10, and then go try the other places. But I know you're going to come back to me because I'm really good at what I do, and I welcome rough times because I'm better at it than most people.
Yeah.
And I said this at the last podcast with David Campese. I said, Jack Nicklaus, the golfer, was asked how he won so many golf tournaments. And he said, well, I only had to beat half the guys. The other half beat themselves. So you don't have to worry about all the restaurants because half of them are going to beat themselves.
Correct.
But if you pick what you want to be and you stick to it and you become the best at it and have guys like you come in and check every detail and hire people like Harris, and it's going to be fine. it's going to be fine as long as the food's hot and it gets to the table on time.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's all good. So I got to ask you this question, because you were in my restaurant Friday night with your high school buddies, which I love. I mean, it's so great seeing those guys.
No better vibe in Dallas.
What do you admire most about Bob's?
Okay, I'll give you a cheesy but honest answer.
Because I'm going to give you what I admire most about your restaurant.
Okay. I'll give you a cheesy and honest answer, and then I'll give a restaurateur answer.
Okay.
My cheesy and honest answer is seeing you, because it's so nostalgic, and one of my best friends in the business. And I did my 16th birthday there with my 4 best friends, and you were there. I mean, there's a lot of nostalgic places in Dallas. Nothing comes close to the emotional connection, I think, that Bob's puts out. So that's my cheesy answer, but it's honest. And then from a restaurateur perspective, I would say the food is so consistent. The service is not intrusive, but it's strong. You have a very...
Write that down. That's a good one.
It's strong service. It's not, wistful and dainty.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there is a strength that all of your servers have whenever they come to the table. And it's just not intrusive. It's not, dude, we got it. Go. We're talking, and so.
Yeah. Well, when I come into your restaurant, I see things I love and I see things I don't love. and the things I love is how cool and hip and you just kind of get, you kind of feel it, and then the food comes out, and when the food comes out right, you say, wow, you can make a cool hip place and have good food, and that's it. How you can't improve it.
You're dating yourself by saying hip.
Yeah, I know. Should I say groovy too?
Yeah, hit him with that.
Hit him with groovy, then they really know I'm old. But that's what I think of. And listen, you have made a mark on the restaurant business in Dallas. Now you're making a mark on the restaurant business around the country. And if there's one thing that you didn't realize about the business that you realize now, is there one thing that you say, I never realized that till I got really rolling, that this was going to be that important? Is there one thing?
There's countless, but I would say the most important is I haven't been able to experience this, and that's one of the things that fascinates me about Tillman so much, is that he's the sole owner of his business. And granted, he's got 1 million people that work for him, but I've got great partners, and partners isn't a loose term. I have great equity partners in our business that it would be I don't understand how people can scale at speed without partners with skin in the game. And so that wasn't something that I ever expected to realize. I think someone could guess that that's important, but once you get in the thick of it, back to the 10 to 20 discussion, Rick, Matt, Kyle, these guys, without them, I am effed.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And so just, I guess, coming to that's the strongest realization that I've come to at that 10 to 20 path.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've been blessed with some great partners. I have a great partner now. Started off with a great partner named Bill Lennox. Have a great partner now, Dave Johnson. And those guys were thank God they believed in me and invested in me. And then I've been, how they judge a good partner is how fast you get them their money back. And so I did, and they're great, and they leave me alone. And, we're all judged on how profitable we are, how successful we are, especially with those partners, because
that's the hard part.
They love bragging about us. Hey, I invested with Hunter Pond, he got my money back in 2 years, he's great.
Then you have a miss, and you're like, where are my checks? And you're like, shit, I'm trying.
One last question. We talked about making fun of me because I said the word hip, but give me one service standard that should never change, no matter how hip the restaurant is. What is the one thing that you know what, whether it's old time Bob's or, you know, the new trendy place, what's the one thing about service that you kind of always look for and want people to have? Because you said all the right things about our service. We try not to be obtrusive. We try to blend in. We try to be careful we're not the star of the show. The food and the service is, and the customers, you know, I hate to go to restaurants where the server thinks that he's the star of the show. It drives me crazy.
Nauseating.
It is.
Yes.
It makes me mad. And I end up having to say to me, listen, back it off.
Yeah.
You're going to get a really big tip. Just back it off, okay?
I'll tip you, just scram.
Yeah, just leave. Yeah.
Outside of the standard answers of consistency, etc., I just think, as a martini lover myself, the speed of drink service, I think, is the number one thing that matters in our company.
And ours too.
Not number one, but let's just say I think it's something that we harp on harder than probably other people do. And when I'm at others' restaurants, if I'm not getting my martini quick, it puts the food could be fantastic. I'm leaving with a bad taste in my mouth. And I just think that it's vital.
Yeah.
The speed of drink service. You're sitting there, where's that, you know, long ass day, where's the martini?
Right.
10 minutes? Nah, I ain't gonna cut it. 6 minutes? I ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah. Well, how I explain it to servers is, you know, you all want big checks because you're going to get a percentage of it. Well, if you don't get them that first drink fast, you're not going to get a second drink.
That's right. That's why you walk into Bob's and you can hear the
Which I got one little bone to pick with you. At Hudson House, it says home of the coldest martinis.
World's coldest martini.
I think ours are colder.
Well, let's do round 2 and have a competition.
Well, next time we meet, we'll do it later in the day, and we'll both drink martinis.
I love that.
But let me tell you something, young man. I'm proud of you. I admire your success. I admire your drive, and you're great for our business. And I wish you the best success.
Thanks, Bob. That means the world, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you.